Okay, we ready? Good evening, everybody. The December 12th, 2023 Liquor Board hearing is now in session. All hearings of the board are now transcribed and stored electronically. These transcripts, serving as minutes of the hearings, are acceptable for review by scheduling an appointment with the Liquor Board. I now make a motion that the transcripts of the previous board's hearing held on November 14th, 2023 be accepted as the board's minutes for that date, and I ask for a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner. With that being said, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Completed. Mr. Praley, if you would, please.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jimmy Praley. I serve as counsel to the board. Excuse me. Before every meeting, I make a couple brief announcements. First, the commissioners are part-time public servants. They all have outside interests. When they know they have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest, they'll recuse themselves. However, due to the number of cases that are called, the ability for the public to testify in support or opposition of every case, it'd be impossible for the commissioners to know whether or not they have a conflict in every single case. So when your case is called, if you believe that one commissioner or multiple commissioners, as the case may be, has a conflict, you need to make that known at the time your case is called. Otherwise, we'll move forward with the case under the supposition that there are no conflicts. Second, the rules of this board provide that the chair, for the purposes of judicial and administrative economy, can delegate and have board's counsel rule on the admissibility of evidence and objections if counsel are present and objections are made. This board handles a lot of cases at every hearing, so to expedite the hearings, rather than somebody making an objection as to a piece of evidence or testimony, the chairman turning to me advising the chairman, I'll simply make a ruling, and my ruling will be that of the chairman and the board. Finally, everybody's favorite time of the year is right around the corner. Renewals are not too far away. As has been the customary practice and policy of this board and the administration, board is unable to process and issue new licenses or transfers between February 28th and May 1st. So if you're here on a transfer or a new license tonight, get your ducks in a row, make sure that the board and the administration has all of your documents so we can issue that before we effectively shut the doors on new licenses and transfers at the end of February. Other than that, when your case is called, come forward. I'll turn it over to Deputy Chief Inspector Sean Ralston, who can call the first case.
Thank you, Mr. Praley. Our first case is Lou's Stop Shop, Madison and Sons, Inc.
Will you all waive the reading? Will you waive the reading? The Deputy Chief Inspector is just reading the case into the record. Would you be willing to waive this? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward, remain standing, and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Starting on your right, you may be seated. You can please state your name and address for the record.
Detective James Mountcastle, ID 1155, Anne Arundel County Police Department.
Detective Thomas Middleton, Anne Arundel County Police Department, 1061, assigned to Western District.
Detective Charles Cepeda, ID number 1239, the Anne Arundel County Police Department.
Jesse Madison, manager of Lou's Stop Shop.
Kenneth Christensen, clerk, Lou's Stop Shop.
Nancy Madison, 1208 Mayo Road.
All
Thank
right.
you, Mr. Praley.
Did we get your addresses too?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
1027 Friendship Lane, West River, Maryland.
323 Salisbury Road, Edgewater, Maryland.
All right, thank you all. Detective Middleton, I don't know if this one's yours tonight. Okay, Detective Cepeda, if you could please provide us a statement of facts.
Thank you. Good evening, Board. On October 22nd of this year at approximately noon hours, Detective Mountcastle, Detective Middleton, and myself were working Operation SAVE, Selective Alcohol Violation Enforcement and Sales Compliances for Retail Businesses. Redirected a confidential source, 21 years of age, to enter the Lou's Stop Shop, which is located at 1208 Mayo Road in Mayo, Anne Arundel County, Maryland. We observed that confidential source enter the business. The confidential source then went into the store and picked out a 6-pack of Heineken beer and took it to the front counter. The confidential source was given Fisher and Arundel County funds and was able to purchase the Heineken beer from the clerk. The clerk did ask the confidential source for identification. However, the confidential source advised that she did not have her identification with her. The clerk asked the confidential source for her date of birth or her birthday, and the confidential source gave her birth date as a year earlier, which would make her 21 years of age. The clerk then sold the confidential source the Heineken beer. Confidential source then exited business immediately, turned over the alcoholic beverages to myself, Detective Middleton, and Detective Mountcastle. We know through our training, knowledge, and experience that Heineken beer is an alcoholic beverage. Detective Mountcastle, Detective Middleton, and myself then entered the store, identified ourselves as police officers, and identified the clerk as Kenneth Ray Christensen, who has a date of birth of 4/6/1982, who is seated at my left. Mr. Christensen advised that he has been working at the store for 15 years and advised that he has had alcoholic awareness training, which was scheduled on March 30th of 2022. Photograph was taken of Mr. Christensen, and the Anne Arundel County liquor license was properly displayed within the business. Photograph was also taken of the Heineken beer and was subsequently destroyed. Mr. Christensen was cooperative. The store was, at the time, was busy. A copy of this report was forwarded to the Anne Arundel County Liquor Board. This case is closed.
All right, thank you, Detective Spada. Now, this is the licensee and the clerk's opportunity to ask any questions of Detective Spada just based on the statement of facts. You're going to have an opportunity to present your case in mitigation, but if you have any questions for the detective based solely on the statement of facts, now's the time.
No.
No questions? All right, Mr. Chairman, any questions?
Were they cooperative during this? Was the clerk who handled it and you met and spoke to, were they cooperative?
Yes, sir, Mr. Harris, yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Commissioner Duffy or Commissioner Snoops, any questions of the detective?
No questions.
All right. Now we'll turn the floor over to the licensees and the clerk. This is going to be your opportunity to present your case in mitigation. If you want to tell the board what happened, anything you want to tell the board, now's the opportunity.
That's what happened. I mean, I made a bad judgment call. You know, she looked okay. I still carded her. She felt it out of her date of birth pretty quick. Didn't seem like she was being deceptive. But, you know, just like I said, I made a bad call.
Okay.
I would like to say that Kenny has always done a great job prior to and even to the, still, and I agree that I think he made a judgment call and it was incorrect.
Okay. Thank you. Now we're going to see if the board members have any questions. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Fraley. Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that. It's important to us. Mr. Christensen, you say you were employed there for 15 years, is that
I think
correct?
it's 14 or 15. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's
Yeah.
okay, close enough. I also noticed your alcohol awareness trained, so you've been through the program,
A couple times, yes, sir.
I'm sure. Yeah, this one is good for, I think until 26, if I remember correctly.
Sounds right.
24, actually. No, 26. Okay, I have a question for the licensees. Do you have a management agreement for your establishment?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure of its status at this time,
Okay.
but I would be willing to take counsel and to rectify or the proper steps for any of that.
Okay, we show no record of you having a management agreement, and a management agreement is required by law. And just so we can clarify this, and we'll give you an opportunity to get one, and it's relatively simple. It's a lot easier now than it was just 2 years ago. Each place must have a management agreement if, in fact, someone other than the licensees are going to be selling alcohol. There must be at least one person on duty at all times who has been trained and alcohol awareness trained, which you are. And that person's name must appear on a management agreement by this board. Okay. And it basically says that you're giving him or her the right to act on your behalf.
Okay.
But it also The object is to show that you have trained people who have been through an approved course, and we have quite a few of them that are approvable. So you are going to need to get one. Now, I don't see, unless you can find it and show it to us, I don't see where you have one. With that being said, I suggest you do as many of your employees as possible. Quite a few of them have the alcohol awareness. So the application is relatively simple. It's an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with a few questions. It requires signatures of the licensees as well as the applicant and a copy of their driver's license or photo ID. So I do suggest that. And I also noticed that, unless you can tell me different, neither of the licensees are alcohol awareness trained.
Mine has expired. Haven't had a chance to renew it yet.
But you had one, but it's expired.
Yeah, I've had multiple, and I've yet to get the renewal.
Okay, and I suggest you get yours renewed as soon as possible.
Yes, sir.
Okay? I don't have any other questions at this point.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Snoops, any questions? Anything you would all like to add before we turn it over to the board for deliberation and decision?
No, where would I follow up for any questions? Just with the board locally or
I'm sorry.
online, if about finding the right paperwork to file the manager's agreement and such? Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, with no more questions and no more testimony, we'll turn it over to the board. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Praley. Looking over your history and records, and it's nice to have an employee who's been around for 15 years. I know a lot of places are probably pretty envious of that. Nevertheless, mistake was made, and it's a somewhat serious mistake. This is your most recent violation was December 22nd of 22, almost a year ago.
Yes, sir.
Prior to that, you had one prior to 5 years ago, and we don't really look at those. We're more concerned about the most recent 5 years, what your track record has been. But nevertheless, you have had one prior within that 5-year period. Therefore, it makes you, if you'll excuse the expression, a second-time offender. And with that being said, I'm going to make a motion after listening to the testimony of the officers and yourselves that we find you guilty of sale to a minor. And because it's your second offense, I make a motion that we fine you $1,000 per offense. Now, that's times 2, so it'll be a total fine of $2,000 plus any administrative and court costs. Hopefully this will, keep everybody sharp in the future and we don't see a reoccurrence, which is what we want. Okay, I have a second. I'm looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So be it. Again, thank you for your honesty and forthrightfulness, and hopefully we don't see you again for the circumstances. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Our next case is Bonefish Grill, Bonefish Glen Burnie LLC.
Mr. Callis, will you waive reading?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward, remain standing, and raise your right hand.
Peter. Peter, come over here. Come on. Raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. Raise your right hand.
Remain standing, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You may be seated. Please state your name and address for the record.
Name
Name and address.
Peter Z. Petros. Address 1169 Keeling Court, Arnold, Maryland.
Michael McMahon, 206 David Drive, Hockessin, Delaware, 19707.
Need your name and address too, Mr. Callis.
Pardon?
Name and address too,
Oh,
please.
so, Nick Callis, 90 Cathedral Street, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
All right, sorry to make you go through the semantics, but we'll turn it over to you. You can present your client's case by way of proffer, testimony, or a combination of both. The floor
Thank
is
you,
yours,
sir. We'll go by proffer if that's acceptable to Mr.
Sounds
Chairman.
great.
Bonefish in Glen Burnie has been a successful business. It is averaging about 12% of its sales are alcohol-related sales. It's had an excellent record, and the application before the board is a transfer of minority interest because the existing licensee has moved on, and the two gentlemen before the board have graciously consented to assume the responsibilities of the licensee. I will tell you that both of them are in compliance with the requirements to serve as a licensee. And if I may, I'll briefly take them through some questions that I hope will be sufficient for the board to make a determination. To my left is Mr. McMahon. Michael, you will have operational responsibility for this location, is that correct?
Yes.
And how many years have you had in the hospitality business?
In the hospitality business is 25,
Okay. And how long have you been working for Bonefish Grill?
18 years.
Okay. Have you ever been convicted of violating any liquor laws?
No.
Have you ever been convicted of a felony?
No.
Have been charged with violating any gambling laws?
No.
Do you have an affiliation of financial interest, either direct or indirect, with any wholesaler of alcoholic beverages?
No.
You have reviewed the rules and regulations of the board?
I have.
You understand that the board will hold you responsible for any violations or a breach of their rules and regulations, whether you had knowledge of them or participated in them, and do you accept that responsibility?
I do.
Okay. Do you know of any reason why the board's approval of the transfer of this license would pose a threat to the peace, safety, or welfare of the surrounding community of this restaurant?
No.
Bonefish will maintain the same alcoholic policies that it had, service policies that it had in place prior to this transfer. Is that correct?
Correct.
You're not changing any of the physical plant or any of the managerial employees of the restaurant. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You have recently obtained your certification for ServSafe alcohol responsibility certification. Is that correct?
Correct.
And when did you do that, sir?
Recently.
If I may, Peter, Mr. Petrus, I want to ask you the same question.
Okay.
Similar questions. Have you ever been found guilty of violating any alcoholic beverage laws?
No.
Have been convicted of a felony?
No.
Have you ever been charged with violating any gambling laws?
No.
Do you have an affiliation or financial interest in any wholesale or alcoholic beverage?
No.
Are you a lifelong resident of Anne Arundel County?
I am.
Are you a property owner in Anne Arundel
I am.
County? And is that the location of the address that you gave?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
You have reviewed the rules and regulations of this board?
I have.
You understand and accept the responsibility that if those rules or regulations are violated in any fashion, you will be held personally responsible, whether you participated in them or had knowledge of those?
I understand.
violations? Do you accept that
I
responsibility?
do.
Mr. Chairman, that would be our case.
Thank you, Mr. Callis. Quite impressive. No violations or complaints in 18 years. Credit and kudos to you. That's good. I do have a question I'd like to address to both of you, and it may have been covered by Mr. Callis, but do either of you have any financial interest in any other alcohol liquor license in this state?
No.
Neither of you? Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. You know, there are restrictions on the license at present. Are you familiar with those? All right, on your liquor license in red, and you can check it when you get back, or I'll be glad to show it to you. Your license has two restrictions on it, and they have been on for quite a while. The first one is no live entertainment or a dance floor or a bandstand is permitted. Okay, and the second one is food must, I'm sorry? Okay.
sir, very
And the
good.
second one is that food must be served in conjunction with any consumption of alcohol. Are you both aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. And you understand that if transfer is granted, those restrictions will remain in effect?
Yes, sir.
Correct? Okay, very good. I don't have any other question. Oh, outdoor service. Are you requesting outdoor service?
Not out of Glen Burnie, no, sir.
Yeah, the block was blurry, so I apologize. I was under the impression you might have been. I was going to ask you if you submitted the paperwork.
Yes,
But the answer is no to that, correct?
that's correct.
All right, thank you very much. I have no other questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops? Mr. Callis, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, with everything being said, I'd like to make a motion that we grant this transfer and, I'm sorry, change of officers. I apologize. And that it be effectuated as soon as all the paperwork is in and everything is in order.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, granted.
Thank you, sir.
Lots of luck in the, with the
You guys can,
change.
you can go back. You can go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see, our next case is Bonefish Grills Gambrels, Bonefish and Arundel LLC.
Mr. Callis, will you waive reading on this one, too?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward, remain standing, and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated. If you can state your name and address for the record.
Nicole Novella, 1608 Wyatt's Ridge, Crownsville, Maryland.
All right, and Mr. Callis, just your name and address for the record one last time, and then we'll turn the floor over to you, okay?
Callis, 90 Cathedral Street, Annapolis, Maryland.
Great, go right ahead.
Mrs. Novella, you prepared the application that is before the board
Yes,
this evening, is that correct?
correct.
Was everything in that application true and correct at the time that you prepared it?
Yes.
Is everything true and correct as of today?
Yes,
Okay. Since the date of the application, though, you have been added as a licensee on 2 additional alcoholic beverage
Correct.
licenses. Is that correct?
yes.
One for the Outback Steakhouse in Charles County? And one for the Bonefish Restaurant in Montgomery County. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. Have you ever been convicted of violating any alcoholic beverage laws?
no,
Have you ever been convicted of a felony?
No.
Have you ever been charged with violation of any gambling laws or committed any violation of gambling
No.
laws? Have you, do you have a financial interest in any wholesaler of alcoholic beverages, either indirect or direct?
no,
Have you reviewed the rules and regulations of this board?
yes,
Okay. Do you understand that the rules and regulations of this board require that you be personally responsible for any violations that would occur as to those rules and regulations?
I do.
Do you intend to be on premises in this establishment as a, go ahead.
Only if required, when required.
And are you, is your purpose with respect to Bonefish, this particular entity, are you do compliance?
Yes,
Okay. With respect to the operation itself, do you have any reason to tell this board whether its approval of your designation as a licensee constitute a threat to the peace, safety, or welfare of the surrounding community in Well Chapel
no,
and on Bonefish Restaurant? You, in fact, had an alcohol certification just recently expired, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, are you going to renew that
Yes.
quickly? Are you aware of whether your managers in this particular location all have their certifications?
they do.
Okay.
It's a requirement.
And you will continue to understand in accordance with the rules?
Yes.
Of the board? Do you have a pecuniary interest in any other establishments other than what was presented to the board in your application?
No, and the 2 that you
They're all stated in there?
Yes.
I have nothing further, sir.
Okay, thank you again, Mr. Callis. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We are aware of your application and what you've put on there. I'm going to ask you a question. Other than the ones that you've already reported to us, do you have any other financial interest in any other liquor license in the state of Maryland?
Well, all of the ones that are listed there, sorry.
But none other than the ones you have listed?
The ones we listed, and then the two that, the Montgomery and the the Montgomery and the
But
Charles.
those weren't, you didn't have financial.
Oh, no financial interest, sorry.
That's okay.
I thought,
Yeah, it can be a little
Misunderstood.
complicated, I understand. Do you have outdoor service at that location?
Yes.
Okay. That may be where the confusion came in on the last one, but, okay. I also noticed you have about approximately 8 people on your management agreement. So that's good. You understand that everybody, or every time you open the door, there must be one of these people or yourself on the premises.
Understood.
And that those people need to be alcohol awareness trained, which the ones we have listed on your management agreement, we've already vetted and understand they are. You're not, and I understand that, but it's your intention of becoming accredited
recertified.
soon.
Yes, it is my intention to recertify very soon.
Okay. Do you think that's going to occur in the next 60 days?
I can get that done in the next 60 days.
Okay. It is important, as you can
Yes.
imagine, so we do appreciate that. You have no restrictions on this license, and no violations or complaints in the last 10 years, and again, kudos to that effect. So with that being said, I have no further questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Snoops? No questions. Mr. Callis, anything you want to add?
No, sir, other than thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep, thank you. With everything being said, I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and grant the change of officer for Bonefish Grill and Gambrels, or looking for a second.
Second motion.
Thank you. All in favor, signify by
Aye.
saying aye. Okay, granted. Transfer is
Thank you,
done.
Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Callis.
everyone.
Thank you, Mr.
God bless
Novello.
and have a wonderful holiday.
You too.
Our next case is the Rinconcito Mexicano Restaurant, Rinconcito Mexicano Incorporated.
Mr. Garner, will you waive the reading?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward, remain standing, and raise your right hand.
Go ahead and stand up and raise
Hi, Bill.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
You may be seated. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my address is 2415 Maytime Drive, Gambres, Maryland.
And your name for the record.
My name is Jose Landaverde.
Thank you. Mr. Fraley.
All right. Mr. Garner, good to see you. We'll turn the floor over to you. You can present your client's case by way of proper testimony or a combination of both. The floor is yours.
Proper, Mr. Paley, with maybe a question or two at the end. Before I do that, with the board's permission, I submitted my exhibit list, I think on Monday, Monday a week ago, and I would make an offer to have those admitted into evidence. I think it's exhibits 21 through 26, and the exhibits are all attached.
Okay. Everything that's been submitted to the board will be accepted into evidence.
All right,
Thank
very
you.
well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Fraley. I would introduce the board to Jose Landaverde Andrade. He is 38 years old, and he has he was a naturalized United States citizen as of 2014, but he first arrived in this country in 2004. And he has worked in the family's restaurants. As you know, there's a number of family members that have several other restaurants, licensed restaurants in this county. And he has worked at one of them from 2007 until 2012. And he has been at Rinconcito, our premises here, since 2012 in various capacities. He's been a server. He's been a food runner before that. He has also managed the premises. So he has been consistently employed there. He works there 6 days a week. He is a stockholder in Rinconcito, as I think is in the record. And he has, on a regular basis, served and handled the administration of alcoholic beverages. He has a current alcohol awareness certificate. I think it's good until 2027, if my recollection is correct. And he manages the premises on a daily basis at this point. He recently became an officer. We have minutes that are part of the record, and he has become the officer of Rinconcito after there was a stock exchange that happened earlier this year, and this is the necessary change to the license as a result of that stock exchange. And he gets there around 9 a.m. The restaurant opens at 11 a.m. On the weekdays, Sunday through Saturday, or Sunday through Thursday. It closes, it's open 11 a.m. until about 9 p.m., and then an hour later on the weekend days. I think the license permits a longer time, but that's the regular practice of the hours. It is a family restaurant and has been ever since its inception in 2012. I would ask Mr. Landaverde one question with the board's permission. Mr. Landaverde, you are aware of the rules and regulations of the liquor board?
Yes.
All right, and do you intend to continue to follow those rules and regulations as has been in the past?
Yeah.
Okay, make sure the board can hear you.
Yes.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gardner. We'll see if the board has any questions. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Fraley. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked the previous licensees, and I understand you have declared certain things, but do you have any financial interest in any other licensed establishment? And I'm talking about financial interest.
No, I don't have any other license. Apply for this license.
Do you have any other stock ownership in any other restaurant?
Restaurant?
Any other restaurant?
Yes.
Which one? You have an ownership interest in Querétaro?
Yes.
Judy. Okay, we do have a record of that, is that correct? Okay, well, we're going to look that up just to verify it.
And
I
that's a
just want to
class
make
H,
sure he understands. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, that's a Class H?
It is.
Okay.
I think both are Class H's.
It doesn't.
But he's not on that license.
No, right, he isn't.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, that's all right, as long as we have the answer.
Understood.
First of all, I want to compliment everybody in your group for the drawings that you submitted. They are what we would hope to have everybody give the liquor board when they're applying for something. It's very well done, dimensions, fixtures, furniture, and so forth. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
It's my understanding that all three licensees do have a small interest, but not as licensees, but as financing. But we have no record of violations or complaints in the last 11 years, which, again, congratulations for that. We always like people to come in front of us when they have a nice, clean history behind them.
We do too.
I'm sure. The only other thing, well, there is no restrictions on the license, so I have no further questions.
Excuse me, Commissioner Duffy, do you have any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops, any questions? All right, anything you want to add, Mr. Gardner?
Nothing. Thank you, Mr. Fraley.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fraley. Thank you, Mr. Gardner. This is a change of officer, and with everything being said and everything that was given to the board, saying that all the paperwork is in and the administration is satisfied with that, I'm going to make a motion that we approve this change of officer. Looking for a second.
Second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consider it done. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And
Okay,
Merry
next
Christmas to
case.
everyone.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a nice holiday.
Our next case is Festival Wine and Spirits, Civ LLC.
Is there anybody here from Festival Wine? Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Would you waive the reading?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward, remain standing, and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. State your name and address for the record.
Kuljit Singh, 7514 Canton Way, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21060.
Verdanti Amin, 957 Sperry Way, Sykesville, Maryland, 21784.
Thank you. Mr. Prelli.
All right, Mr. Singh, Mr. Meehan, you've seen a couple cases go before you. This is your chance to proffer your case to the board, let the board know what you're seeking, why you think you need it, but we'll turn the floor over to you, okay?
Thank you. Good evening, board members. We are members of Festival Wine and Spirits. As you all may know, we heard requests to add spirit tasting license to our existing license. We currently have beer and wine tasting. During these tastings, we do get a lot of requests from our customers regarding having spirit tastings. We believe that addition will help our business grow as the competition is increasing in the area. Another reason for this request is our competitors in the area have spirit tasting license. This will give us a fair chance to compete with them as well. So without taking much time, we request you to consider our application and approve this spirit tasting. Sorry, and thank you.
Mr. Chairman, any questions?
No, I just want to confirm something. It's my understanding you have 3 people that are alcohol awareness trained and
Yes.
are on a management agreement?
Yes.
And you understand the rules about somebody has to be present anytime you're open who's on
Yes,
that
we do.
management agreement? Or if you're alcohol awareness trained, you must be there, one or the other. I see no violations or complaints. It's been a short period, I think 9 months.
Yes.
But that's terrific. No restrictions on this license. I do have the same question I asked everybody else. I'm going to ask the 2 of you, and that is, do you have any other financial interest in any other alcohol license?
I do not. I do not.
I do not either.
Okay, thank you both very much for that. Do you understand the definition of tasting, like beer and wine tasting? Are you aware of the rules that may be involved in that?
Yes, so we don't do the tastings ourselves. We have our distributors set it up a month in advance, and they do the tasting through the other companies, and we're just there to support and watch. That's all, basically.
Yeah, very good. With that being said, I have no further questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops? All right,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm going to make it very quick and simple. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we go ahead and accept this adding of beer, wine, and liquor tasting permit to your permit. Okay, make sure all the paperwork and the administration has, and it will reissue your license with that on it.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. So the motion is to accept it, and I'm looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
All
Good
right,
night.
Thank you.
Happy
Good night.
holiday.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Our next case is Gateway Village Wine and Spirits. Gateway Village Wine and Spirits.
Would you waive reading? Waive the reading of the case?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, great, thank you.
All right. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward, remain standing, and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Be seated and state your name and address for the record.
Raghu Kumar, 174 South Southwood Avenue, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
Thank you. Mr. Fraley.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kumar, good to see you again. It hasn't been too long. Go ahead and let the board know what you're seeking, why you think you need it, and then we'll see if the board has any questions, all right?
Yes, well, thank you for giving me the chance. I would like to apply for the tasting and Sunday license, which was, there was some sort of mistake over the application last time we applied, so just came here for that.
All right, is there anything you want to add?
Nope, just like to have the opportunity to be amongst with the other liquor licenses so that we can compete and be on the same page as everyone else is.
Okay, great. Since this was a contested matter, I would just place it on the record, though, that there is no opposition that showed up tonight to oppose your request here. I just want to make sure that the record is clear of that. Mr. Chairman, any questions?
Just a few quick ones. Mr. Kamar, welcome back. Like Mr. Praley said, it's been just a few months. You're aware of what takes place with the beer, wine, or liquor tasting?
Yes, sir.
Is it going to be performed by you or by
Distributors.
a distributor?
Yes.
Okay. And you're also asking for Sunday, which
Yes, sir.
kind of surprised us. You didn't ask last time, but nevertheless, you did ask for it this time. Do you have any financial interest in any other liquor license in this state?
No, I don't.
Okay. You haven't opened yet, but you got no violations or complaints and no restrictions on your license. So with all that being said, I have no further questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops?
No.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I make a motion that we grant both the Sunday license and the beer, wine, and liquor tasting. Hope you open soon. Do be careful.
We will. Thank you, sir.
We want everybody to be safe and get through the holidays without an incident.
Thank you,
So congratulations.
Thank you, sir. You guys have a happy holidays.
Did I vote yet?
Not yet.
No.
No.
Wait a minute.
Still
I
gotta
think
put it
I
to a
forgot
vote.
to vote on
Sit
this.
tight.
All right, I make a motion that we go ahead and pass it, looking for a second.
Second motion.
Thank you. It's late. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, you're good to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a happy holidays.
Thanks.
Our next case is the Grand Ballroom LLC to Blessed to be Stressed Catering LLC.
Ma'am, would you waive the reading?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward, remain standing, and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may be seated. State your name and address for the record, please.
Natasha Roll, 322 Wilson Boulevard Southwest, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21061.
Thank you, Mr. Presley.
All right, thank you. Ms. Roll, this is your opportunity to present your case to the board. We understand you're seeking a downgrade from a Class D to a Class H.
Yes.
Go right ahead and tell the board what you want to tell them.
All right, so I'm the owner of Two Blessed to be Stressed Catering in conjunction with the Grand Ballroom. We now currently hold a Class D with an on-sale BLWDS since 2021 for an assembly venue / banquet hall where we host weddings and events. We are asking to downgrade to an H with the intent to apply for a second liquor license for a new restaurant in Glen Burnie called Delusions Restaurant and Bar, which will be located at 7089 B&A Boulevard, Unit A in Glen Burnie, which was the old Willow Snyder's.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, any questions?
No, I think you've done a fine job, very quickly done, too. We understand this is a change of license and the purpose behind it, but you understand anything we say tonight does not affect that application for the
Correct.
up-and-coming license. Okay, great. Do you have any other financial interest at present in any other liquor license establishment?
No.
Or liquor license? Okay, thank you. You've been open almost 2 years now.
Yes.
And I see no complaints or violations, and we haven't had to put any restrictions on, so congratulations for that.
Thank you.
I don't have any further questions.
Commissioner Duffy?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops? No questions. All right, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Thank you. And I'm going to go right to it. With that, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and grant your request to downgrade the license from a D to an H. Looking for a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay,
All right.
congratulations and
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Next case.
Happy holidays.
Our next case is Greenway Concession LLC.
Mr. Dales, you waive reading? Thank you.
Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward, remain standing, and raise your right hand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated. Please state your name and address for the record.
Luann Richards, 8104 Foxwell Road, Millersville, Maryland, 21108.
Thank you. Mr. Braley?
All right, thank you, Mr. Dales. We'll turn it over to you. You can present your case by way of proper testimony or a combination of both, but go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Praley, and good evening, the chairman, commissioners. I'll start with proffering some information, then we'll turn to testimony. You're probably aware that this location has been a bowling alley for many years, and since prior to even the current owner, the prior operator had a license to sell alcohol at this property. And since 2005, the current operator has had a license to sell alcohol. And the most recent individual on that license was Mr. Kenneth Shelton. And then, sadly, Mr. Shelton passed away, leaving his wife, Linda, to act as the licensee. And even more sadly, shortly after that, she died as well. So that left Mr. Joe Haycock as to act as the licensee, as he was the closest living relative. But he's eager to end his involvement in the sale of alcohol at this property. And so for that reason, we're seeking to transfer this license that's long been held by GWB Concession Co. to Greenway Concession LLC. This license is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor with an entertainment permit, Sunday permit, and late hours permit. Nothing is proposed to change about the operations of this license or sale of alcohol under this license. Nothing will change on the floor plan. And as you'll hear from the licensee or prospective licensee this evening, she has long been involved with the operation of this license, is very familiar with the property and how the business will be operated. So with that, I would ask Ms. Luann Richards to answer a few questions. So, Luann, you are a member of the LLC applicant listed on the liquor license, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you are, in fact, the sole member of the LLC applicant, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And prior to the issuance of this license, will you have completed the crowd management training that's required?
Yes.
Thank you. And you already have alcohol awareness training, do you not? And the employees of the current LLC and management company and the employees who will help you to operate this new LLC will also be alcohol awareness training.
Yes, sir, they already are.
Thank you. And you understand generally the rules of this board and the state code relating to alcoholic beverage licenses and being a license holder, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you intend to make sure that at all times there's at least a manager or yourself present who has alcohol awareness training?
Yes, sir.
Of course, right. So, and can you confirm that we've addressed the criteria in the alcoholic beverage article for the transfer of a license?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, would you please give a brief description of the licensee history at this property? I did a little bit in my opening, but if you could just tell the board a little bit about the history of this property and the recent events for the licensees.
Well, we've had the property since approximately 2005. It's been fully licensed all that time. Well-staffed. Not sure what you want me to say. We've done well. Our employees know what they're doing. We're very strict, very, very strict. We don't play games with anybody, if that helps.
And no violations?
No violations, no violations.
And you've been the general manager for the bowling alley, the owner of the property, while this concession company's run the alcohol.
Yes, sir.
So you're familiar with the full property here?
Yes.
Thank you. And will the operations and the sales and service of alcohol change in any way with the transfer?
No.
Thank you. And can you describe the floor plan layout, just basically as you come in the door where the concession stand is?
When you come in the front doors, the concession's to the right side. It's a snack bar, and you go around the side of the snack bar, and then that's where our bar is. It's a full-service bar with actually a sitting area also for the bar.
And the licensed premises include the lanes so that the customers can bring
Yes.
their.
Yes.
Thank you.
They can take their drinks to their tables.
And what about your hours of operations? What are typical hours of operation?
From Monday through Thursday from 10 to 10, Friday and Saturday from 9 till 1 in the morning, and then Sunday 9 to 10.
Great. And are you confident that these safe operations will continue to be able to control operations safely with no negative effects on the public or surrounding community?
Yes.
And from your years here, that allows you to be confident that there's a demand, a continuing demand for this license, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And recently there was a warning issued for lack of the workers' compensation insurance being posted on the wall. Has that been addressed?
That's been addressed and posted.
Thank you. And you understand that as the licensee, you would be responsible should any violations ever occur, and that you would come before this board if that happened, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's our case, and we'll be available for questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dales. Mr. Chairman, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Praley, and thank you, Mr. Dales. I do have one or two questions. Bear with me a second. I think I just put them in the wrong stack. Let me ask this question. How long have you, yeah, there it is. Thank you. Needed help finding it. So much paperwork. My question is for Ms. Richards. I know you've been there for a long time. I've had the opportunity to, I live in the Severn area, so
Okay.
I've had an opportunity to occasionally visit it, and don't ever remember seeing any problems while I was there. I do have a question about your bar area. Is that manned all the time, or just when you feel there's a need?
Basically, when we have our leagues and everything, it's manned. Like if, for instance, a Sunday morning, it wouldn't be manned. It's usually closed. And the bar area where you actually go and sit is locked.
Okay, that's where I was going with this. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for
Mhm.
answering that without me going into a lot of detail. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked all the predecessors tonight. Do you have any financial interest in any other alcohol liquor license in the state of Maryland?
No, sir.
None. Okay, thank you very much for answering that. I see no recent violations. The last complaint was way back in 2006, and that was somewhat unfounded, so it doesn't count. I have no further questions.
All right. Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops, any questions? No questions. Mr. Dales, anything you want to add?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, thank you very much. Before I make a motion, I'd like to make sure that we understand there is a restriction on this license. Are you aware of what that restriction is?
No.
Okay. I suggest when you go back, you look at the liquor license itself, and you'll see that the restriction is printed in red. It's very brief, but you need to be aware of it if you're going to be the licensee and the control of it. It says entertainment license for multiple TV privileges only, meaning you can have as many TVs as you wish under your license, but it doesn't give you the right to have anything else under entertainment as it is
okay.
written now. Are you aware of that?
No.
Mr. Dales, it's good.
Yeah, I'll explain why that's
Okay.
important for operations.
Okay. It is important that you're aware of these restrictions.
Right, no,
because
absolutely.
Our inspectors go in, one of the first things that they do is they look at the license and see if there's any restrictions, and then see if there's any violation of those restrictions. I have no further questions. I'd like to make a motion now. I'd like to go ahead and approve this, make a motion to approve this. I'm pretty sure you'll do as good a job as the licensee as you were the general manager over there.
Thank you.
Look forward to a successful period. I'm looking for a second.
Second the motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. It's done, Mr. Dales.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
Mr.
very much,
Chairman,
and thank you,
Commissioners,
Ms.
Council.
Richards.
Thank you. A happy holiday.
Thank you.
Happy
You too.
holidays.
Thank Mr. Praley for finding the case.
Our next case is Marley Park Liquor, Sun and Troy, Inc.
Thanks, Mr. Hurdle.
Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward, remain standing, and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please be seated, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Jae Young Son, and the address is 130 Surrey Lane, Tenafly, New Jersey 07670.
Thank you, Mr. Brayley.
All right, Mr. Hurdle, can we get your name and address, please?
Abraham Hurdle, 614 Bosley Avenue, Towson 21204.
All right, we'll turn it over to you. You can present your client's case by way of proper testimony or a combination of both.
I think I might speed through a proffer. I've been in court since 8 this morning.
That sounds fine.
Keep going. The application is accurate as of today. We had some back and forth concerns with notaries and adjusting some things. The applicants filled it out separately, so the administration was extremely helpful in making sure everything was where it needed to be. I did pass along an updated floor plan because there were some questions about a takeout section of the building. I went out there myself to assist with the floor plan. That area is currently occupied not with a restaurant or takeout, but like old bicycles and washing machines. It's just a bunch of kind of garbage. I don't want to be critical of the current licensee. We do appreciate his position in the circumstance, but there's some trucks on the property. My client's really looking forward to making some improvements to the location. As of today, there are no plans to have any liquor stored or sold from the red-lined section of the building. On the left side of the building, there is a 40-foot container that is attached to the building, which I assume is legally licensed premises, which we will continue to use for storage. The building does need, it just needs some work. It's just kind of tired, I think is the way I would say. The building, the sales, the merchandise, and my client's looking forward to doing that. My client does have an alcohol awareness certificate. He got that recently. We did talk about, one of the things we did request was tastings. And I did talk to him about how there's a limited number of occasions that you can do them. And he talked to me and indicated that he'd probably have the wholesalers run those tastings, given the fact that they have significant expertise in that area. Location's fantastic. I've been by again a couple times. I do think that they have a lot of opportunity to really tune the place up a bit. Right now, again, there's no plan to even have food or anything in that one space. Just get the whole place cleaned up, go from there. I did talk to my client about the things that have been brought up tonight and seem to have been highlighted, which is that any employee who's there, if he is not, needs to be under a management agreement. He does plan to have all employees alcohol awareness trained. The staff will probably never be more than 4 or 5 people total. Mr. Choi, who is a licensee who the board permitted not to be here tonight, is a long-term licensee in Baltimore City, is my understanding. Previously, he has no current interest in any establishment, nor does Mr. Sun, who is sitting to my left, have an interest in any alcohol, restaurant, bar, liquor store, anywhere. The plan is also, beyond the alcohol awareness, just plain to card everybody. I think it sets a certain tone. I've spoken to him about how this board takes these things very serious. And I've also indicated that in the event there is a problem, which absolutely happens on occasion, to be very cooperative with the board, and that the board looks very favorably upon licensees who, in the event of an issue, are polite and respectful with the officers. I think I've been here before on occasion that wasn't the case. At the moment, the hours are going to be 10 to 11, 7 days a week. He currently lives in New Jersey, which is the address that he lists on his application. He has family in the area, and pending the conclusion of this transaction, he will be looking for a place down here and hoping to move this way. He's looking at Arundel. I think right now we have a resident agent who is not one of the 2 licensees. They're just the male recipient. So he would take over that in the event he were able to move to Anne Arundel County. Oh, and I have discussed with him that he is always responsible for the things that occur on the premises. I have nothing further to add, and I have no questions to ask of Mr. Sun, but I do think he's ready for some questions.
All right.
In the event the board.
Thank you, Mr. Hurdle. Let's see what we can fire at you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fraley. Thank you, Mr. Hurdle. I do have a couple questions and a couple comments, but let me start off by saying I believe Marley Park Liquors has been in existence. I think the original transfer was like 16 years ago. And the drawing that you supplied lacked a little bit. And of course, one of the questions was that area where it was shown as takeout food. I'd like to maybe get you to draw up a letter addressed to the board.
Sure.
Letting them know that that area that is designated as redlined will not be used for any purpose for the liquor store or its storage of alcohol.
Absolutely.
And if they want to come back in, they want to do that, that's something that they can address at a later date. But we want to make sure that you understand that for no reason can any part of that area that you redlined in this most recent drawing, and your letter will confirm that, I would assume. Excuse me. So that was one thing. I just wanted to get some clarity on that. So if you would, just make sure the administration gets that letter, Mr. Hurdle. Violations, there's been a few, not many at all. The most recent alcohol sales compliance check was done back in 2021, August 14th, in which they were found to be non-compliant, were found to have sold to minors. And I just want to make sure you're aware of this, that there is, if you want to call it, a strike on your record. We usually consider most recent 5 years, and this falls within that 5 years. So if there's another alcohol sales compliance check and you fail that, that'd be number 2, because it really doesn't matter whether you're on that license or somebody else, it's that license. So please be aware of that. You already have a strike against you, not personally, but on the license. Do you have any other financial interest in any other establishment? I know it was mentioned, but
No, sir.
none?
No.
Okay, I just want to clarify that. I have no further questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
Mr. Hurdle, anything you want to add?
No.
Great. Mr. Chairman?
Okay. With that being said, I do want to make sure that we get that letter before we proceed with that transfer. So if you could draft that up soon, that'd be better. I make a motion that we go ahead and agree to the transfer, and we're going to add the wine tasting as well, which is a request. So that's my motion. I'm looking for a second.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. Lots of luck to you and happy holidays.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks.
You'll have the letter tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next case is Sidelines, U&J Beverages Inc.
Waive reading, counsel?
Waive reading.
Thank you.
Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward, remain standing, and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
All right, please be seated. Starting here on your right, please state your name and address for the record.
Daniel Ives, 783 Copper Grove Road, Severn, Maryland.
Rebecca Paxton, 6992 D Cup, Columbia, Maryland.
Santos Portal Paras, 7922 Allard Court, Apartment 201, Glenburnie, Maryland.
Director Melvin J. Kudensky, 320 North Charles Street, attorney for the applicants.
Uma Ranaba, 21 Oak Crest Court, Bayer 21014.
Jyoti Ranabat, 21 Oak Crest Court, Bel Air 21014.
All right. Thank you all. Mr. Kudensky, we'll turn it over to you. You can present your client's case by way of proper testimony or a combination of both.
Okay, we'll start with way of proper. It's a transfer of an existing location. In this instance that you may want to know who these people are here. This is the licensee. This is husband. This is brother and brother-in-law, because he's the brother of one, he's the brother-in-law of the other. In this instance, all the information was on the application was true and correct. None of the parties were ever convicted of a felony violating the gambling laws. They have no financial interest in the other license. They currently had a license in the Indian restaurant in Harford County. A few years ago, no violations there, so they're familiar with the business. All three of the individuals here are alcohol certified. They'll have a little over 20 employees. 10 of them will be front of the house, 10 will be back of the house. The people will be in the front of the house will be alcohol certified. They understand that the license has a dancing component on it. They're asking that be granted to be transferred. They understand it has to be renewed every year. The situation with regard to the operation is that either one of the three individuals will be there at all times, and if they have any other additional parties that would be necessary, then make sure that they are be indicated as managers. Their alcohol certification for these three individuals here run through 2027. They have met the inspector. They've talked to her, Jacqueline, I don't want to say it wrong, and they talked with the inspector. Inspector seems to be satisfied with what they would be doing in this particular case. The dancing component has to do with the DJ, and it's a couple days a week. That would be the sum and substance of the case on behalf of the applicants, and unless the board has any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kadensky. And Ms. Paxton and Mr. Ipes, you guys are the transferors, right?
That's correct.
Okay, is there anything that you want to add before we turn it over to the board for questions? Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Mr. Chairman.
We're good. Okay, thank you, Mr. Praley. Mr. Kadensky. I just want to make sure, and of course, the present licensees are aware of it. There is no outdoor service as of this day. And if you want to apply for it, that's fine, but please make sure that you check with inspections and permits to make sure where you want to do it is acceptable before you unfortunately spend any money. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure you understood that as the buyers. Dancing or restrictions. You do have a restriction on this license, and it deals with, well, I'll read it to you. The dancing license must be granted annually, as Mr. Kadensky explained to you, by the board at the time of renewal. So every year, you're going to have to include that in the form of a letter. Is that correct, Ms. Hagner? Yes. Okay. The dancing license will not automatically transfer with the license, but must be approved by the board at the time of the transfer. And I think I can speak on behalf of the board in general when I say that will depend on what happens during that year. If you have, we'll call it an uneventful as far as problems, I don't see any reason why the board probably would not reissue it, but I can't speak on that at this time. But just kind of make sure you realize that that has to come up every year.
All right.
Okay? Do either of you have, or yes, two of you on the license, correct? Right. Do either of the two of you have any interest in any other liquor license in this state?
No.
Okay, both are no's. All right, thank you very much. With that being said, I have no further questions. Pass it to the other commissioners.
Commissioner Duffy?
Yes, I just have one question. In reference to the hours of operation, I never did hear hours of operation. Will they be the same?
Just the same things down, correct?
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Snoops, any questions? No questions. Mr. Kadensky, anything else you want to add?
Nothing further submitted.
Perfect.
Thank you all. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion, and that motion would be to approve this transfer. I'm also going to approve the restriction to remain in effect for another year. So that means when you come up for renewal, which would be in a few months, you may want to include a letter. Is that the way it would happen? You may want to put a letter in that renewal package requesting that that be extended for a year. Okay?
Thanks.
All right. I have no further questions or comments. So with that being said, I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and approve the license based on those two factors. All right, looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Billy,
Thank you, sir.
Danny.
Thank you.
Yep. Lots of luck to everybody. Happy holidays.
Thank you, happy
Thank you
New Year
very
to
much,
you.
sir, once again.
Our next case is Mucho Gusto, EBAM Gambros LLC.
Mr. Pickett, you just waive reading? Yes. Fantastic, thank you.
Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward, remain standing, and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please be seated, starting here on the right. State your name and address for the record.
Sure. John Baranek, 9641 Gerst Road, Perry Hall, Maryland, 21128.
Beverly Ruiz, 9329 Georgia Bell Drive, Perry Hall, Maryland, 21128.
Nelson Ruiz, 9329 Georgia Bell Drive, Perry Hall, Maryland, 21128.
Thank you. Mr. Praley.
Mr. Pickett?
Evan Pickett, attorney on behalf of the applicants with Cat's Day LLC, 2410 Evergreen Road, Gambrills, Maryland, 21054.
All right, thank you, counsel. We'll turn it over to you. You can present your client's case by way of proffer testimony or a combination of both. Go right ahead.
Sure, we're going to proceed by way of proffer.
Fantastic.
The application before you this evening is for a Class H beer, wine, liquor license with Sunday service, outdoor service, the allowance for music and entertainment. The applicants plan to have about 6 TVs at this location inside the building. The applicants would also like to have the option to have 2 live musicians at this location. They currently have a location in Bel Air where they have a liquor license. They have 2 live musicians who play there as well. They are string instruments, there's no percussion, and they are aware of the state's decibel limit. They're not quite sure if they're going to continue that at this location, but they would like to have the option to do that should they decide to in the future. As I said, the applicants own the other location in Bel Air. They've had no violations of that license. They've had that license for about 3 years now. Just recently, that was disclosed on the application. Just recently, they did receive another Class H license in Baltimore County by way of transfer from Greenberg Gibbons. And I believe the situation with that license is such that if they cease to be a tenant at that location, that license would transfer back to Greenberg Gibbons. At this location, the applicants have entered into a lease agreement for a term of 5 years. They also have a 5-year extension, one of those. And they will be investing around $1.25 million into the build out of this restaurant. So significant financial investment. They are, obviously very invested in the success of this license or this restaurant, and should the license be granted, maintaining the license in conformance with the rules and regulations of this board. The applicants are currently seeking all applicable permits, and they understand that all permits must be obtained and delivered to the board before the license will be issued. As you'll see on the floor plan, there is a small bar inside the restaurant, which will accommodate approximately 10 customers. Customers would be welcome to sit at the bar and have a cocktail while they wait for their table, or they could receive a full meal at the bar. The location of the premises will ensure that any noise coming from the premises will not be disruptive to the community. If you're familiar with the Wall Chapel Town Center, it is, it's very big and reliable. They just built 2 new buildings towards the back end of the town center. It's kind of by Dick's and right across the way from the Founders Building. So they are kind of tucked away there. Behind them, there is property that's currently being mined. So they're not up against anyone that would really cause a disturbance. So they're really well situated. They plan to keep the hours of 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday, and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Sunday, which will ensure that there will be no late night noise issues or crime associated with a late night operation. The hours are really indicative of a restaurant.
The applicants plan to hire around 42 full and part-time employees and will have 1 to 2 managers on duty at any given time. Something unique about the applicants, one of their officers is actually a tips trainer. So they typically like to do, as most restaurants do, they like to get new employees, they like to do them in batches. But with their officer being a tips trainer, it allows them the flexibility to make sure that everyone is tips certified within a reasonable amount of time. The applicants are certainly fit and proper. It's been a pleasure working with them. They are very professional. They are very squared away. The applicants are experienced in both the restaurant and alcohol industry. As I said, they've held their current license for 3 years with no violations. The applicants have never been adjudged guilty of violating the laws governing the sale of alcoholic beverages or for the prevention of gambling in the state of Maryland, nor have they ever been convicted of a felony. The applicants are aware of and understand the rules and regulations of this board. We provided those rules and regulations to them. They've had an opportunity to ask us any questions. They understand that should they violate the rules and regulations of this board, that they would have to appear before you. As I said, the applicants understand that they are to have each of their employees who are handling alcohol tip certified, and they will ensure that all new hires are tip certified within a reasonable amount of time. I believe their policy is to do is, somewhere within 30 days of hiring, depending on how many people they have at any given time. Mucho Gusto would be the only Mexican restaurant license holder in and around the Wall Chapel Town Center offering high-end cocktails. They have a very robust menu, including brunch service. I believe we submitted the menu to the board for your review. We also brought copies of them. It's very voluminous. They have many, many options. As you'll see, their cocktails are craft, high-end cocktails. There is one other Mexican restaurant located in the Wall Chapel Town Center, but it is more of a authentic fare. It is very different than the offerings provided by Mucho Gusto. There are a total of 21 license holders in and around the shopping center. I brought from the board's website, I printed out a location map of each one of those licenses. If you'd like to see, I could submit that as an exhibit.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
And just for the record, this will be admitted as applicants 1.
The granting of this Class H license will have no impact on existing license holders due to the uniqueness of the food offerings relative to the surrounding license holders. The granting of this Class H license will not pose any threat to the health, safety, and welfare of the community, as there are no dangerous entrances or exits, and there is ample room for parking. The location offers about 105 parking spaces. Furthermore, the addition of this restaurant to the shopping center will not pose a risk for creating an increase in crime, as this use is not associated with those types of behaviors. And it will draw in this is going to be a nice date night spot. I can speak from personal experience. Our office is actually right adjacent to this location, and as someone who has eaten at every single restaurant for lunch in and around the Wall Chapel Town Center, we are really excited to have this option available to us. And this location is conveniently located in the shopping center with no schools or churches within 1,000 feet. With that, that would be our case, and I make my clients available for your questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pickett. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Browning, Mr. Pickett. First of all, I'm glad you got us the dimensions on that outdoor service.
Yes, their floor plans are extremely detailed. I believe there's 52 pages of them. And we went back and looked at it. They provided the area. They didn't provide those measurements. So what we did is we went over and actually met with the contractors and took a tape measure and measured it off and provided that to the board.
Yeah, I'm a builder by trade, and I looked those pages over and over, and I said, they have everything except the
Yes,
dimensions.
yeah.
Of course, that was a mechanical and plumbing set of plans. That wasn't necessarily the building permit plans, but that may have shown that. But thank you, we got them, and they're acceptable in this case. Same question that I've asked everybody else this evening. I'm sure you've heard it. So do you have any other financial interest in any other license that we haven't been notified of or we're not aware of? Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops?
Come on, guys.
They're ready to go home.
I'll wait till the last case and ask them, you know.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, might as well close this out, huh? I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and accept this new license as it's applied for. Please make sure all the paperwork is in to the administration, because you won't be able to pick up that license until such time. Looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Now you both talk. Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Lots of luck, happy holidays, and hope everything works out well for you. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. This will conclude tonight's hearing for the Anne Arundel County Liquor Board. Everybody have a nice holiday. Be safe out there, and hope to see you all with a smile on your face next time.